Welcome to the Basketball Sessions Podcast, a podcast that talks about what's happening in the NBA and other basketball news. Now, this is episode 4 of the pod. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about a recap of the just concluded 2023 NBA draft and a little bit of the NBA offseason news as well. We're going to talk about that. So sit back and relax, take a listen, because basketball is in session. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Basketball Sessions Podcast brought to you by the KGE Network. My name is Klein, and thanks to everyone who supports and have subscribed to the pod and to the channel. Now, if you haven't, please subscribe. Please do so. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/basketball sessions podcast. And just hit the notification or just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified when we have a new episode. Now, today's going to be a little different because we're going to go Taglish today, and I'm sorry that in previous episodes, I've had some audio difficulty with regards dun sa tunog, no? May mga words kasi na hindi buo lumalabas or hindi siya buo na nare-record and napuputol yung mga words natin, at the beginning of the word some letters are muffled down or muffled out, tapos nawawala na, and sometimes I don't get to edit that, and I'm sorry about that. Medyo gulo yung podcast, and I'm starting to figure things out, para maayos yung podcast at yung sound natin, so that moving forward mas maganda yung tunog ng ating podcast. Thank you very much for understanding. And we're gonna try to fix it, no? I think I figured out, no? Medyo hindi pala nakasaksak yung aking cable. So, hopefully this fixes it and that, yun nga, maayos na siya moving forward. So, let's begin with the 2023 NBA draft recap in this first segment of the podcast. Okay, so the first pick belonged to my San Antonio Spurs, who won the draft lottery last May. So, of course, it's obvious that it's been news, no? Na widely news naman that the most or the best prospect that they picked for the number one draft pick of this year's 2023 NBA draft, Victor Wembanyama, goes to the San Antonio Spurs. And a little info on Victor Wembanyama. He's a lot of people, a lot of media in the NBA or NBA media press said that the French prospect, 7'5", Victor Wembanyama is the best prospect since LeBron James. And no surprise that San Antonio selected him number one because, yun nga, a lot of people have been talking about Victor. 7'5" na frame, no, na haba at tangkad. And then, plays like a guard, nakakapag-dribble, playmaker siya. And then, he can block shots, no? Defensively, napakagaling din ni Victor. From his highlights, of course, no, we haven't seen him play in the NBA yet, so he hasn't proven himself yet in the NBA level. So, yun po, no? That's why he got selected number one, and that's why he was outed to be the very first pick of this year's draft. Kaya nga nung draft lottery, that was the Wembanyama lottery stakes, no? As they call it. Because whoever wins that lottery, kasi it's for sure that you'd be picking Victor Wembanyama as your very first pick. Generational talent, as they said, or as a lot of pundits call him. Uh, that's very rare, no? 7'5" with guard skills, plays defense as well, both ends of the floor. So that's why he got selected number one. And then for the second pick, the Charlotte Hornets selected Brandon Miller, 6'9" forward from Alabama. And Brandon Miller is basically para siyang ano he's like a Paul George mold eh. And actually, yun nga rin, that's his favorite player from interviews na from being interviewed, no? Sabi nga niya, actually, Paul George is the GOAT, no? Better than LeBron and Michael Jordan. So that's a big and controversial interview that he had recently. But of course, to each his own, no? Idol niya si Paul George, eh. Wala tayong magagawa doon. And he patterned his game from Paul George din naman. So obviously, talagang idol niya si Paul George. And it does look like, no, from the side na or from his ability, from his highlights back in college, he's a one and done player as well, no? 19, I think he's 19 years old as well. A lot of the prospects this year are 19-year olders, no? Bata talaga. Some of the NBA prospects and NBA is actually getting younger. Yun nga yung nagiging problema. From the last episode that I've had, no, I've explained it, what Dame mentioned, and we're gonna get into that later as well. Um, Speaking of Dame, no, next pick sila, the Portland Trail Blazers. But first, yeah, um, Paul George mold nga, and definitely the Hornets, as from what I've heard with Stephen A, no, on the draft show at ABC, they pick the best player for what they need. No, Miles Bridges is coming back. Lamelo Ball, they already have Lamelo Ball, a point guard, no, to pair with him. Um, a very young team din ng Charlotte, and they're looking to definitely improve, no. But out of that lottery sa NBA, the cellar dwellers, as they call them, in Charlotte. And the third pick of the NBA draft was Portland, and Portland Trailblazers selected Sterling Scoot Henderson. No? Sterling yung pangalan ni Scoot eh. He's a 6'2" guard from the G League Ignite, no? From the D League ng NBA. And I thought na si Scoot should have been from supposedly dun sa mock draft na gagawin ko sana. Scoot for me was what the Charlotte Hornets should be picking because best available eh. But from pundits, they say that Brandon Miller because he's tall, no, and he's skill wise. They say Brandon Miller is good. Shooting is better, no, from Brandon. But I think Scoot Henderson is in the mold, as they say, in the mold of young Russell Westbrook and a young Derrick Rose mold as well. The athletic guards, no, that can hoop out of the gym, and he's a big guard, no, 195 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yun nga, sabi nila is he's got a football body, yung running back na body ni Scoot Henderson. So malaking katawan na gwardiya that plays strong, no, from his highlights. And he actually was hyped to be the second overall pick, no, from the start of or from last year, when these prospects were announced na yun nga, Victor Benbanyama and then Scoot Henderson, he was uh, second, no? He was the second choice. But then the college hoop scene came along. Brandon Miller shined or shone, no? Yun nga. Kaya he ended up being the third pick overall of this year's draft. But I think, no, he's going to be a multiple time all star, Scoot Henderson. So not sure. Let's find out. No, let's just watch. Let's see. Plus, like I mentioned, no, yung Dame aspect, because with Portland Trail Blazers, they still have Damian Lillard as their point guard, and moving forward, there have been news and rumors that the Blazers could be moving Damian Lillard, no, in the near future because they already have Scoot Henderson. Well, actually, I think it's or from the perspective of Portland, if you were in the front office ng Portland Trail Blazers, you take the option of selecting a young guy na you have that prospect already. And instead of taking chances of trading the pick, tapos you get a veteran help for Lillard, and then you don't it doesn't pan out, no? Kapagka hindi gumana yon or kapagka hindi umubra yung trade na gagawin mo for a veteran player that can help out, then you're doomed, no? Hindi mo na makukuha yung prospect, no? In this situation, they can try to see kung gagana ba yung tandem ni Scoot Henderson at ni Damian Lillard. And Scoot said in an interview that he wanted to play with Dame. But Dame has been adamant, no, na ayaw din naman niya ma-trade, no? Wala naman siyang sinasabi that he wants to be traded out of Portland to another team. And like I mentioned, hindi naman ganun kasi si Dame. He's not gonna be the one would ask out of a team, and he's not built like that. Parang old school kasi itong si Damian Lillard, no? That he's gonna play out his career with Portland if they're not gonna trade him. And again, a lot of media, a lot of press have already mentioned or talked about that he actually has already paid his due in Portland, and they want to see him win. A lot of people want to see him win somewhere else, no? Pero si Dame kasi, he's like an old school player na he's gonna stick to his team para dun manalo, build from there. And now, I think he's come out and there have been reports, no, that he wants um, a, a better, like he wanted to, I'm not sure if he's the one who actually initiated that or may mga tweets siya siguro na nilabas. Tapos, of course, the media, um, pinalaki na lang ng media yon, no, na they want to pair him with Bam Adebayo of the Heat because the Heat is one of the teams na sinasabi nila would be better equipped or better equipped to try and pry Dame out of Portland, no? For him to be traded to another team. Miami Heat is one of them. Tapos may Sixers trade pa ng sinasabi na for Damian Lillard. Anyways, we've gone off track now, no? But yeah, Scoot Henderson goes to the Portland Trail Blazers as the third overall pick of this year's draft. Now, fourth overall pick, the Houston Rockets, they selected one of the twins. Amen Thompson is their pick from the number 4 spot. He's a 6'7" forward from the OTE League. That's the Overtime Elite League, no? That was created by I forgot who created the Overtime Elite League. No, that's one avenue as well. No, isang way pa from or for the young prospects, mga batang players sa states, sa America, no, to have another venue or to have an avenue. If you don't want to go to college and you are good enough to play, now instead of, kasi hindi ka pa naman pwedeng mag-NBA directly, no? Wala na ring high school prospects nga ngayon. So that's one way, no? It's either G League, sa G League ka, yun nga, sa Ignite, and then pwede ka rin mag-overseas, no? Like Lamelo Ball and Kai Soto, no? They went the Australian route. or European League, no? Pwede rin mo rin gawin yun. O kaya ito, Overtime Elite League, no? Based in Atlanta, Georgia. So, yun nga, sila yung naka-feature dyan eh, yung Thompson Twins. And Amen, um, the first of the twins, no, to be drafted. He's a much more versatile player, I think. And he's more of a ball handler and playmaker out of the two, no, or of the two. And his highlights show, yun nga, no, playmaking skills ni Amen Thompson. Explosive din naman. He's a good athlete as well, no? Both twins naman, for that matter. And again, silang dalawa nga, no? For the fifth pick naman, the next pick, no, ng Detroit Pistons, they do get his twin brother, Osar Thompson, is the pick of the Detroit Pistons at yun nga, from the same league, no, the Overtime Elite League. Uh, Tapos si Osar naman, he's a much better defender than his twin brother. Very athletic at of course versatile din naman sila, no. Same mold kasi, 6'7" player din itong si Osar at he's the much more outed na twin. He's the highlight reel twin, no, dun sa dalawa. And the twins go back to back, no, the fourth and fifth pick of the 2023 NBA draft. History making din that the Twins get drafted that high at back to back. No. Now for the sixth pick, the Orlando Magic selected Anthony Blank of I think Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. 6'5", trying scouting on this guy. He's a good on-ball defender and willing passer, no? He's a facilitator. He's going to be a facilitator for the Magic. So I think they got him for that. He's also a pretty good shooter daw. Yun yung pinaka scouting din kay Anthony Black. He's a little bit raw pa. He's gonna be trained, no, much better siguro kapag ganun in the coming years. So they got a good guard, no, out of Anthony Black on this pick. Now, this is interesting. The next pick, no, number 7 of the draft, the Indiana Pacers selected Bilal Coulibaly, 6'6" pick, no. Ito, big surprise in the pick because yung pick na 'to, so far wala naman of the mock drafts that, the NBA and all the other mock drafts that, they've had, hindi naman ganito kataas yung pick nila kay Bilal Coulibaly. He's an international prospect. Bilal Coulibaly is out of, I think this is out of Nigeria from if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna try to search it, no? Si Bilal Koulibaly. Oh, sorry, yeah. French. French basketball player din, no? Itong si Bilal Koulibaly. And pick was made by Indiana, pero this was traded to the next pick or to the next team, no? Which is Washington Wizards. And he was a teammate of Victor Wembanyama in the Bologna Lebalos Metropolitans 92. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly because that's a French team na yun nga, yun yung team ni Victor Wembanyama. But again, this trade was picked to or this pick was traded to Washington for their next pick. At Koulibaly is a good offensive player, good shooting din, no? 6'6" guard nga siya, no? Plays forward din, can play forward. So guard forward slots combo guard yung dating or combo forward eh. And for the 8th pick, the Washington Wizards, ito nga yung trade, no? For the 7th pick, no? The Wizards selected Jarace Walker out of Houston. That's 8 for this is compared to Draymond Green. But a much more scoring na Draymond Green type of player, no? And he's a very versatile big nga, no? Defensive big na 6'8", bulky din, itong si Jarace Walker. Now again, that's been traded to Indiana, which was supposedly sa mga mock drafts naman din. Jarace Walker was really supposed to be, or yun nga, projected to be selected by Indiana anyways. Now they get him for a much cheaper contract, no? Kasi he was the eighth pick. So there you go for that. Now, pick number 9 in the first round. Now, again, just to give a view, no, itong recap pala natin, sorry, I should have mentioned this a lot earlier, no, it's just gonna be for the lottery picks, no, picks 1 to 14, yung i-recap lang ho natin, no. So again, we're gonna go ahead and through that. Number 9, um, pick number 9 was selected by the Utah Jazz, no? And they selected Taylor Hendricks for this pick out of UCF. Now, Hendricks is a 6'10" forward that has an inside outside game. And he is basically the modern day stretch four, no? He could shoot and defend underneath the rim. So very, very good pick for the Utah Jazz. A lot of teams actually, in the beginning or at those mock drafts had him around 6 to Orlando, or yun nga, uh, 8, no? Even 5 sometimes, no, sa Detroit sana. But he gets selected number 9 this year by the Utah Jazz. Now, for the 10th pick, this selection is for the Dallas Mavericks, but they traded this pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 12th pick. No? But they selected at number 10, Cason Wallace, 6'4" combo guard out of Kentucky, and a very good playmaker that can catch and shoot. No, he's a scoring type of guard. No, two guard, point guard, pwede rin. That can be combo guard. No, parang si like Shea Gilgeous Alexander already. So he's gonna be teammates with him because the pick was traded to Oklahoma City Thunder. Now the 11th pick is by the Orlando Magic. Supposedly this was the pick of the Chicago Bulls. Uh, Pero na-trade nga, no? This was the traded pick for Vucevic. And they selected Jet Howard out of Michigan. 6'8" forward, a very good shooter. At ito yung anak ni Juwan Howard, no? Si Jet Howard. 6'8", tapos yun nga, one of the best three-point shooters in the draft. Catch and shoot guy din, no? Quick shot, no? Yung mga highlights na pinakita, mukhang shooter talaga, or mukhang magaling naman din itong si Jet Howard. Of course, he was trained, no, by his dad, Juwan Howard, one of the best and professional players ng NBA before, no, before becoming the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines as well. Now, the 12th pick, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be selected by Oklahoma City Thunder, but this pick is going to go to Dallas. And they selected Derek Lively the second, 7-footer, no? Center, out of Duke. And again, this was the mock drafts, or in mock drafts, no, previous mock drafts. This was the guy that's that the Dallas Maverick is projected to select at ganun din naman yung nangyari, but then of course much better since lower pick, that's gonna be lower salary, no, much cheaper contract basically, no. And again, he is a 7-footer, so a lob threat and defensive anchor din, which of course the Mavericks need right now. This also, or they also traded Davis Bertans for this pick. I think that's also included with the selection that they made. Second to the last of this draft recap, we got the Toronto Raptors selecting the 13th pick of the year. And ito, sinasabi nila, no, this was or they selected Grady Dick, 6'8" forward, prototypical wing player out of Kansas. And yun nga, ang sinasabi nila dito sa pick na to, definitely Toronto won. This was one of the best picks of this year, as they say, because he's a big shooter, 3-point specialist din, who plays both ends of the floor. You know, he can defend, not a great defender, but a good defender at least. At 6'8", Grady Dick, what a name. And the final selection of the 2023 draft, for our recap, no? At least, since we're just gonna be recapping the first 14 picks of the first round, the New Orleans Pelicans selected Jordan Hawkins, a 6'4" guard out of Connecticut. This guy has a quick release shot and relentless in moving off ball, no? Parang mala dati Rip Hamilton, no? Off the ball movement. Um, but he's a shooter, he's a scorer. Um, pero yun nga, Jordan Hawkins, one of the surprises as well, with the selection for this year's draft. And that concludes the draft lottery that we had, or that, I mean, the draft recap that we have for this year. So, yun nga, no, those are just the lottery picks in this year's draft. And of course, it's another year, another crop of young players injected in the NBA or in the league. And we're going to see if these guys or some of these guys will pan out. Actually, I have some of the picks, no, supposedly that were projected to be higher picks sana. I've had Cam Whitmore as one of those picks na bumagsak dito sa lottery or sa draft na to, no? And I think Cam Whitmore is one of the good prospects, no? Athletic guy. He fell into number 20 at the Houston Rockets got him. So yun, one of the picks, no? Tsaka si Leonard Miller, he ended up at second second round, I think, no? The Spurs selecting him, but he was traded to Minnesota for that pick, no? But anyways, yun nga, those are just the lottery picks. If you wanna check out the full NBA draft show, or yung mga picks natin for the full show and our full draft, you can just go to the NBA website to check that out for the full draft list. Next up, we got a little bit of the NBA offseason news, so stick around for that. Next up, we got the NBA offseason news. And first of those news that I was talking about is the Ja Morant suspension, no? Ja Morant was suspended, and this is going to be served in the first 25 games of the next season, the 2023-24 season. No, John Morant will also have to adhere, after serving that 25 game suspension, he has to adhere to certain conditions before being reinstated. At yun nga, while he's suspended, he's ineligible to participate in any public league or team activities, no, within the course of his suspension nga. Now, this is the second incident kasi of John Morant, no, showing a gun or showing a firearm in a social media post. Actually, hindi naman sa kanya rin yung post, no, sa kaibigan niya. Pero yun nga, basically, kasi si Ja Morant, the NBA mentioned, or within yung statement ng NBA, they talked about it. Of course, these players are role models to kids or to the young people, no? For the youth, they're role models, tas idols, tapos yun nga, they're gonna be showing those types of posts na meron nga sila, especially now that gun violence in the States or in the US is very rampant, no? Na medyo masama nga ang light ngayon. Tapos yun nga, he's showing off with a firearm sa mga posts. So, and the NBA said that it's pretty detrimental to the league, or it's showing a little bit of a detrimental. It's going to be a little bit detrimental to the league. That's why they had to act on it. And he was actually suspended already 8 games, no, this year or this season. Prior to that, so this is the second incident already, and that is why he was suspended for 25 games. And I've read na yun nga, no, the reason why 25 games lang, where in fact there have been incidents before na it was more than 25 games suspension. There have been precedents or incidents before na ganito din. But I think no that 25 game suspension is with the new CBA that they have. He's now ineligible for any postseason awards, like the MVP. No, lahat ng awards that he can try to get, he's not eligible for those anymore. Because he's not gonna be playing enough games to be eligible, or yung ang category kasi yun na bago ka pwedeng ma-awardan ng gano'n or na maging qualified for that award, you're gonna have to play a certain number of games this season, and he's not gonna be able to do that anymore. That's a quarter or one fourth kasi ng almost one fourth, I think, yeah, of the games na yan ng NBA season na 82 games kasi. No, out of that, he's gonna miss out on 25. So, and approximately, no, 300,000 daw yung amount na per game na mawawala sa kanya. So, approximately $7.5 million yun. Whew! Oh my God. 7.5 million mawawala because of that post, no? And at least he's gonna make that up. Probably dun sa shoe deal that he has with Nike, because Nike is sticking with him even though may ganitong situation. So, well, yeah, no, pretty bad news for Ja Morant. And of course, it's not just him, no. It's also for the Memphis Grizzlies, bad news that they are not gonna have him on the first 25 games nga this season. But meron naman silang ginawa, no? Memphis actually made a splash, or made moves to basically try to alleviate that situation a bit. No, we're gonna get to that a little later. Now, speaking of which, no, another off-season news, big time news ito, right? After the finals, ito before the draft started, the Washington Wizards actually traded Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. Now, the details of the trade, no, Bradley Beal, Isaiah Todd, and Jordan Goodwin. Yung trade ng Washington going to Phoenix, ang kapalit was Chris Paul and Landry Shamet for the players. Tapos, ang trade or nakuha din ng Wizards, they got 6 second round pick from Phoenix, no? Yung 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, at saka 2030 na second round picks nila ng Phoenix, no? Went to the Wizards or to Washington. Tapos, 4 first round pick swaps. The 24, 28, and 2030 na pick yun, no? That was reported as per Adrian Wojnarowski. Yan yung veteran NBA correspondent na we all try to follow, because Woj, as they call him, he gets the news out first, no? So you do try to follow him if you want to get some news about the NBA or player movement. Now, hindi naman doon nagtapos yun, because the Wizards got Chris Paul out of that trade, and Chris Paul's up there when it comes to his age, so he doesn't want to be there, or ayaw naman din ni Chris Paul, of course, na mag-end, no, almost end of his career na now he's gonna be in a rebuilding team because Washington now is on a full-scale rebuild mode, no? They tore up the foundation, they traded Bradley Beal, and then later, again, we're gonna talk about that, no? Yung move nga na ginawa ng Memphis at the other trade that the Wizards made, no? Pero ito muna, they also dealt Chris Paul. Hindi naman doon nagtapos yung trade nila eh. They also dealt Chris Paul to the Warriors, to Golden State. They traded Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole and Ryan Rollins. Yun yung dalawang players na nakuha nila. Plus, of course, a first-round pick in 2030 and a second-round pick in 2027. So, you know, um, after all the trades that they did or that they gave up on for Bradley Beal, kumbaga, they got Jordan Poole out of it in exchange for Bradley Beal. Oh, not bad. Tapos yun nga, a couple of other less known players were added on. Plus yun nga, at least nakakuha na sila ngayon ng first round pick, no? The 20th, yun nga lang, 2030 first round pick. But that's, they say, no? A lot of media says that that pick basically is one of the better picks that they got because in 2020 or in 2030, that Phoenix pick gets to be better, no? One of the better picks that they got kasi by then, wala na doon si Bradley Beal, wala na doon si Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker most likely na lang yung natira doon sa team na yon. So, most likely yun nga yung pinakamagandang pick doon, no? Hindi lang yung puro second round picks. I was wondering why they only got second round picks for Bradley Beal, no? Now, the third and final trade that Washington so far, no, so far of the offseason, no, they traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Boston Celtics in a three-team swap. Now, the first reported trade for Kristaps, no, going to the Celtics was supposed to be with the LA Clippers, no, in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon, supposedly. Now, ang nangyari, that deal fell through, no, after a couple of hours because the Clippers rescinded or, sila yung umayaw dun sa trade because they had concerns with Malcolm Brogdon. Si Brogdon kasi yung mapupunta sa kanila with that trade. And then yun nga, they're gonna be trading out picks for that, and yun, they didn't want that, no? They have concerns with Brogdon's injury kasi recently kasi Malcolm Brogdon has had injury concerns. It started nung mga Eastern Conference Finals. He injured his hand or his arm. So they had concerns with that. So na-rescind yung trade na yun or hindi yun nangyari. Binawi yun, and then they traded Porzingis. Because with Porzingis' contract, no, yung kontrata kasi ni Kristaps, he has a player option for 36.6 million, I guess. Mali yata ako. I'm not sure, no? Basta ganun yung amount nun. He had to, or he has a deadline kasi, no, na hanggang 12 midnight Eastern that he can opt into that deal, no, or player option before it expires and before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So, if the trade went through, he's gonna opt into that player option, and then yun nga, basically mapupunta siya sa Boston, no? And at first ganun na yung plano, ganun na yung mangyayari, but then when the trade was rescinded, no, Boston had to make sure, or they found a way to still get Porzingis from the three-team swap pa rin with Washington. Pero yung partner na nila or yung katandem na nila ngayon or kasama nila sa trade is the Memphis Grizzlies, no? This is the move that Memphis made. They got with this trade, no? Washington full team rebuild mode na talaga. Tapos yun, they traded him, no? Porzingis went to Boston with the trade. Tapos this the Celtics also get the 25th pick on this year's draft plus yung 2024 first round pick next year 20 galing sa Golden State Warriors yun. Dun sa trade nga nila from Chris Paul pa. Tapos yung Wizards, they get in return for trading Porzingis si Tyus Jones, one of the best or one of the better sabi nila substitute or point guard na backup point guard nga Tyus Jones, and then they got Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala from Boston. Tapos yung 35th pick this year, no? Kasama din yun doon. That's what the Wizards got. No? And then yun nga, for Memphis Grizzlies though, ang nakuha nila si Marcus Smart. That's who they got, no, for this trade, which basically is, kumbaga, yan yung pinakakapalit, no, or yung alleviate nga nila dun sa situation that they are in now with regards to Ja Morant's suspension. So they now have Marcus Smart, one of the better veteran players na maybe can guide, no, tong si Ja Morant out of that. So those are the NBA so far, the NBA offseason news. And so that is it for today's session. Please join me again on the next episode. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Basketball Sessions Podcast. Like the Facebook page as well at www.facebook.com/Basketball Sessions Podcast. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, everyone. Peace.